Hi everyone, I'm Kim Keeber, FCSS Outcome Measures Trainer, and this little video is to introduce you to the registration form that was created as a tool for you to use in your volunteer income tax program. This registration form is optional if you choose to use it. Some folks already have their own created, and that's totally fine, but we thought we would create one for folks who might find it helpful. I will go through the registration form with you. To start off, you can see we have a spot here to insert your FCSS logo, should you want to. And over on the right-hand side of the top, we have a spot for the e-file confirmation number. Then we have some information, personal information, name, address, social insurance number. The idea behind this form is to have the information that you need in order to complete the return. We have a community of residents, so I reside in. So for some of you, you complete returns for folks who live in multiple communities. Others of you only complete returns for folks who live directly in your community. So if you're due just in your community, then you can delete that row if you choose. This is just a simple word table. If you're doing multiple communities, then you would highlight this and you would write in the community name of, I don't know, Cochrane, my hometown, where I grew up. You can just add whatever names that you're tracking. If you're doing only 2, you can delete 1. If you're tracking 5 communities, you can add a couple more, just depending on your context. We then have information in regards to marital status and income level. One of the pieces to note here is that we have low income identifiers here. For some of your communities, you have your own low income numbers. I believe that these are the ones that are set out by Canada Revenue Agency. If you aren't using them, you can delete them. That's totally fine, or you can change them to align with what you're using locally. We have some information in regards to the dependents, whether or not they have the Northern Living Allowance credit or the disability tax credit. If you are tracking other information, you can feel free to add that. The critical piece about this form is not in terms of data collection, is not this initial part. This is to help you do what you need to do. The critical piece is at the bottom. So we have an opportunity for you to insert your FCSS name, and then insert the names of the communities, the community of residents. So that would be the same as what falls up here. And then we are tracking. So this is the piece that where we are tracking the information. The idea is that once it is completed, we would tear off the bottom of this page, and we could put this part in a file folder until we're ready to do the data entry piece. And then the information here will not be attached to any personal information. So the idea is we tear off the bottom, and then we give the top part back to the resident who's coming in to get their taxes done when we give them their returns. So we are collecting a variety of information: tax year, where they live, whether or not they're a senior, receive AISH, on low income, or just a resident, number of children, guaranteed income supplement, Alberta Seniors Benefit, GST, Canadian Child Benefit, working income tax benefit, whether they had a tax refund or they owe tax. So we are only tracking information that we can easily gather while we are doing someone's tax return. So something like, I'm not even sure, there's other benefits that folks are now eligible for once they've filed their taxes, but we would have to follow up with them to see how much they would get. And so we're not going to track that information because getting that information would be very, very challenging. We're also only tracking information that, or numbers that are a direct result of someone getting their taxes done. So for example, old age security. If someone has already received old age security, they will continue to get it regardless of whether or not they file their taxes. So we're not tracking that. When we look at GIS and Alberta Seniors Benefits, we know that when someone is filing their tax return, we know how much they got last year. And we know that they will get an almost identical, sometimes a little bit more amount in the next year. So we are tracking that because we can have a very good guesstimate of what they will receive. On the back of the registration form, we have some additional information about who we can prepare the returns for, about the Northern Living Allowance, disability tax credit. You can add or delete whatever you want on the back here. That's totally fine, and it's up to you. One of the things to be mindful of is that we will be tearing off this bottom piece. So if you are wanting to send information home with the resident, then you would want to make sure it does not fall under this tear off piece on the bottom. So again, the registration form, this is a tool for you to use. It's meant to be helpful. If you already have your own process for collecting this information, you can continue to use it. That's totally fine. The key piece is the bottom piece. So some folks have taken the information on the bottom here and created their own little form, and that's totally fine. We just would encourage you to make sure you are actually collecting all of this information. For those of you who used this form last year, you might notice that we have reorganized the order in which some of this is being asked. There's a couple of reasons for that, but it's primarily because some of you, when someone brings in their taxes, the person who collects the information is completing the first 4 pieces of information, and that's because it comes from the registration form above. And then for some of you, you're getting your volunteer to complete the remainder. So when it comes to ease of gathering and whether it's in the tax return or on the tax summary, that's how it's organized, and we'll talk more about that in the next video. But just to be aware that if you used this last year, this is different and it's new. Because last year, for example, we didn't track the Alberta Seniors Benefit. And this year we're going to be doing that. So this piece is the critical piece. I think that's it in regards to the registration form. The next piece, the next video that I'm going to do is just going to be helping you understand where to find all of this information. So hopefully that will be helpful. And obviously, if you have any questions, contact your outcome measures trainer. Thanks.